Greetings, friends, and welcome to another ministry of the Victory Hour here on YouTube. My name is Jim Gallagher. I'm the pastor at Clavel Assembly in Forster, Rhode Island, and we want to welcome you to our YouTube channel. Now, look, I'm doing like a fast dash last second squeezing of this video in. Today is October 6, 2024. Sunday, October 6, 2024. And tomorrow, my wife and I are going away. It's our anniversary. We'll be gone for a few days. And I had already made, just the other day, 2 videos for this week on YouTube to be posted for the first time. Mondays and Thursdays. But then Saturday, I was in such consternation looking at the news and looking things up and observing and watching things about Hurricane Helene and the devastation that is there and what the government is doing to those poor people. And I said, I got to say something. And, you know, the reason I'm in a suit is I just came back from the morning service at Clavel. And we've got company at our house. And I have no time to do this, but I had already made a video for today, Monday. And I'm going to postpone that and push that one off till Thursday. And the one I made for Thursday, because I'm going to be going most of the week, I'm going to postpone to the following Monday, because I needed to jam this in before I went away. And this is the only time I have, just before we eat. I come home from church. We're going to eat in 30 minutes, there's company here, so I need to jam this in because I got to say something. I can't wait till I get back. It's just on my mind. And the whole reaction of what's happening to those poor people in Western North Carolina and the other states that are affected by Hurricane Helene is just unbelievable to me. Something needs to be said, and I need to put a little context. So that's why I'm in my suit. I had no time change, doing it now, quick. But we need a little biblical context. We'll go back to our next time. We'll go back to our normal subject. We've been talking about eschatology and the wrath of God against those that murdered the martyrs of God, and how that points to a first century parousia. But I got to say something. I just had to say something before I go away. I'm doing it, and I'm doing it now, last minute. No preparation for this. But I did think of this one text to give a little biblical contextualization as to why it's necessary for me as a minister of the gospel to do this. You think you shouldn't get involved with politics. Stop being afraid of your 501c3 designation, you preachers. Don't let them bully you. You speak what is truth. I'm not yelling at my friends and listeners. I'm yelling at the world. Unless one of my friends and listeners, this applies to you. I mean, that, I don't know. But Ephesians chapter 5, let me give a little context here. Ephesians 5, starting at verse 6. Let no man deceive you with vain words. Our government lies. The Biden administration, all they know how to do is lie. And they're now lying right to our face, out in the open. And when they're lying, they know we know they're lying, and they don't care. There's an incremental acclamation that they're trying to achieve in the populace at large to get used to being lied to under the threat, we'll bully you if you don't admit what we say is true. And you better be politically correct because we'll have our fact checkers. And sooner or later, they'll get their social credit scores. That's what they want. We can't put up with it as Americans. We need our First Amendment. Elon Musk isn't wrong. Say, Pastor, you don't have to be so angry. That's the only way I know how to be in the face of this kind of thing. It's monstrous. Bible context. Let no man deceive you with vain words. For because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience. God is not pleased with liars who are manipulating people to their harm through their lies. God's not pleased with that. And we shouldn't be pleased either. Oh, I know the evangelical community is supposed to be filled with love and compassion. We should never be angry. They don't know what they're talking about. I'm going to stand with God. He says, because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience. Be not ye therefore partakers with them. I'm not going to join them in their lies, as long as I know that it's a lie. But sometimes there's a discovery period, and you have to find out it's a lie. I understand that. You're not at fault because you were lied to. But if you have a suspicion you're being lied to, and you don't do anything about it, and you just go along with it, for whatever reason, that's on you. And that's on me if I do it. Verse 8, for ye were sometimes darkness. Now he's writing to the Christians at Ephesus. They used to live in darkness. They used to live in lies. But now that they've come to Christ, they want the truth. For ye were sometimes darkness. But now are ye the light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. That's all we're trying to do. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, proving what is acceptable unto the Lord, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. So that word reprove, the Greek word for reprove here, in verse 11, Ephesians 5, and have no fellowship, he says to the Christians, have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. Now, the Greek word that's translated reprove there, here's the definition in your Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, and you'll find this in any lexicon. It's a present parative, active verb, second person plural, and its definition is I reprove, rebuke, discipline. See, reprove them, rebuke them. It continues with this definition. I expose them. That's our duty. Show to be guilty. That's our duty. Of uncertain affinity, to confute, admonish. We are to admonish, we are to expose them, show them to be guilty, reprove them, and rebuke them. That's what we're doing. It's too outrageous, and it's to the harm of many innocent poor people. He says, reprove them, for it is a shame even to speak of those things which are done of them in secret. But all things that are reproved. Let me read that again. All things that are reproved. I'm talking fast because I can't do a full half hour because I got people downstairs. But all things are reproved, are made manifest by the light. Well, that should be the Christian community. For whatsoever doth make manifest is light. Oh, you can't do that. You lose your 501c3 status. Stop it. Get out of the ministry. If you can't reprove evil because the government won't let you, then you don't belong in the ministry. Wherefore he saith, awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Now look, I know Paul's talking about the days he was in, leading up to the parousia. I'm aware of that. And he's talking about a lot of spiritual deception in his context. I'm aware of that. But this principle that Paul lays out is a universal moral obligation on all believers, which can be proved. And we know just by reading the Bible casually that's true. We are to reprove those unfruitful works of darkness that work to the harm of others. With salt and light in this earth. John the Baptist said to King Herod, you shouldn't have your brother Philip's wife. Oh, he was involved with politics. Get out of here. Get out of here. No, he wasn't. In fact, he was showing care for Herod's soul. Yes, he was. There is horror going on in the South. For those poor people whose homes were washed away, most of those homes in the mountains of western North Carolina, and in some places in Georgia and Tennessee, and the homes were devastated, and those mountain homes, many of them were washed away. The rivers overflowed their bank, and the houses are gone, and almost none of those people have any insurance because the house insurance won't cover floods. And who's moving on top of a mountain figuring the house is going to be taken out by a flood? But the government, through FEMA, seems to be getting in the way of rescue attempts. That's what it appears to be from different reports. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that? Now, people say, oh, that's false narrative. I mean, that's what FEMA says. This is all false. All right. Now, let me lay out a principle here. Who are we going to believe? Are we going to believe the people on the ground that live there? The people whose homes have been ruined? The search and rescue people that are on the ground actually picking people up and the stories they tell that are there on site? Are we going to believe them, or are we going to believe the federal government when they contradict those witnesses? Who are you going to believe? I want you to think about the gaslighting that our government has been involved with. Oh, it's just unbelievable. They told us, for instance, Kamala Harris was never put in charge of the border. She was never the border czar. And the same politically correct establishment, left-wing major newspapers that said, no, that was never true. Years before, they said, oh, it was true, and they reported that was the case. They're liars. All you got to do is look that up. They tell us men can be women. No, they can't. You can cut your genitals off and have plastic surgery. It's not being a woman. Is that all it is to being a woman? A couple body parts? Isn't that an insult to women? And it's totally safe and perfectly proper to do that to prepubescent little children and give them medications that will make it impossible for them to go back to what they were. These puberty blockers that they give to children before they even reach puberty, and their minds are developed, their brains are developed to the point where they could make a major life-changing situation like that. They're groomed by the public school system, and the school sometimes are doing it behind the parents' back. What is this nonsense? Everybody's against it. The government doesn't care. Men can't be women. They're gaslighting. They say, oh, vaccines are safe and effective. Oh, really? That's what they say. The Russian laptop, Biden's laptop, was Russian disinformation. And people got deplatformed on all these social media sites for saying that, and they were right. And the social media platforms owe them an apology to the American people for all the innocent people they crucified. Trump was a Russian asset, we were told, by Hillary Clinton and all the rest of them. They were liars, lying right to our face. We had the evidence in front of us. We didn't want to see it. In fact, Hillary Clinton says Trump is a Russian asset, and yet she was paying the Russian guy for that dossier. She was the one giving the Russian guy the money, not Trump, to produce lies. The whole Mueller report and everything, there's just no end to it. I saw the other day, Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House spokesperson, and she said, because she was asked the question, is FEMA short on money because they've been given all this money to resettle illegal immigrants? They've been dumping the money into illegals, right? They come over here and they give them a $2,500 debit card, in some cases $5,000 debit card. They put them up in five-star hotels, give them meals, do all these things for them. They're all taken care of. Sweet. The Americans lose their jobs in the factories, and the migrants go in. So was FEMA giving a lot of money for the cause of resettling these illegal aliens, giving money to the people that broke our laws against the wishes of the American people? Yes, they were. Oh, no. Karine Jean-Pierre says, no, that's a lie. That's false narrative. That's Trump lying. The truth is, she said, the Biden administration was never instructing the FEMA to redirect its funds in that way. Donald Trump did that. What? They can't believe that we would believe that. I think they know we won't believe it, and they don't care. They're trying to desensitize you and acclimate you to their lying to your face, and they want to intimidate you to get used to it slowly. But they're picking up speed. Joe Scarborough was saying, this is the best Biden ever, when he was out of his mind and out of his gourd way before that. There's Joe, the phony Republican. Well, phony conservative. Does he even declare that anymore? What a phony he is on MSNBC. But there's Joe Scarborough. When Biden is at his most pathetic and weakest, he's out to lunch, and there's Joe Scarborough. This is the best Biden ever. Deceiver, gaslighter, liar. The best Biden ever? Is that why the Democrat Party, once they saw that first debate, realized he's so out of it, we can't lie about it anymore, so they forced him out and against his own will, they brought Kamala in, unelected, appointed by the czars of the Democrat establishment. Oh, they're defenders of democracy. No, they're defenders of top-down tyranny, and they're the masters at it. And by the way, a lot of Republicans are no different. There's a handful of Republicans that they mean business, and they're good men and women. I don't trust either side as a whole. The gaslighting. Elon Musk says, look, FEMA has been hindering our efforts to bring Starlink to these devastated areas so that they can get in contact with FEMA and get the assets they need. Elon Musk, lifelong Democrat, he's saying that's what's happening. And the government says, no, that's not true. Well, he's lying. And you go to his X account, and he's posting all videos and his email correspondence with his people on the ground there going back and forth about what's happening. There it is right there. Oh, they're all lying. You can trust the government, but not the people on the ground. Really? There was an article I saw in the Daily Mail. There was a different article in Fox. They're basically all reporting on how FEMA's getting in the way and stopping private entities from getting in there. I'm looking at my clock. I was looking at the wrong thing. Getting in there and preventing the goods and services needed to these people that are dying and starving and exposed to the elements. One fella, there's a video I'm watching, he's from the area, and he was a rescue worker. He says, and we come across two little children, like 6, 7 years old, a brother and a sister. And they were just wandering in the middle of nowhere. And they had no idea where their parents were. Well, their parents were swept away in a flood. And they are by themselves. 6 and 7 years old. There's another video I watched of a guy, and there were people with helicopters, privately owned helicopters, with no funding from the government. Men taking their helicopters, fueling them, and going out search and rescue teams to try and find some of these people and help them and keep them from dying. And then the feds come in and they say, oh, you can't do that. We're going to need to shut down the airspace. The Daily Mail reports on it. Fox reports on it. And I'm watching this fella. He's standing in front of his helicopter in the hangar, saying, yeah, we were doing rescue operations. They refueled their helicopter 4 times that day. You know how much money it is to fuel the helicopter? It's all coming out of their own pocket. It's not costing anybody. These are hardworking, courageous, honorable people that are sacrificing to help their neighbors. And then this guy said he dropped his wife off, his son and his wife, or 2 relatives, and they were helping these people. Then he went back to get supplies or to pick something up. When he got back, the FEMA says, you can't be going up there. We got to clear the airspace. You're getting in the way of us doing the job. Except they're not doing much. We ain't getting in the way. I think more than one helicopter can fit in the sky. Oh, no, you can't go back up there. You go back up there, we'll arrest you. But I just dropped some family members. I got to go pick them up. You can't do it. And the guy told him, I told him, I'm going to go get them. So he did. Supposedly, it was only like a 3-minute drive on a helicopter. And they come back and he gets arrested. Look, people say, well, it's not true. Well, then the guy's lying. The guy on the ground who's sacrificing everything and his money and his time and his effort and the danger of what he's doing to help people. Why is he going to lie about this? These are the people that are there. You know, at Clava, we're thinking we'd like to help out these people. We have a benevolent fund to help people in need. We've got some money in there. We wanted to send some money to an organization that could do some good with it right away. So we're looking at different organizations. I came across the Cajun Navy. And the Cajun Navy, which is from Louisiana, they send out search and rescue teams. And they were going up into the mountains of North Carolina and these different places there. And because they were giving a lot of grief to people in helicopters, they went with horses and mules to go find people and help them and give them aid. And then the later reports I saw on Saturday afternoon is they were starting to hinder the people doing it on horse and mules. What's the problem? Now, there's just no end to these stories that you can read online. Of course, Trump has been talking about it. And as far as the money from FEMA going $1.1 billion to resettle illegal immigrants, illegal aliens who broke our laws coming in. And Trump says, okay, they spent all that money. Now they got no money left. That's a problem. And then they fact check. I saw a North Carolina newspaper, the Charlotte Observer. I don't know if it was the Charlotte Observer or something like that. An establishment North Carolina newspaper. And they fact checked. Oh, that's not true. That's not true. And we fact checked. Those claims are false about the $1.1 billion. And then you see, well, how do they know? They explain, when you do a fact check site, this is a fact check website for that news outlet. Well, they know it wasn't true because they tell you right in there. We called. That's all they did. They made a phone call. They called FEMA and asked them if it was true, and FEMA said no. So therefore, it can't be true. Fact check. Trump's a liar. You're asking the guilty party if they sinned, and they said they didn't, and so therefore they couldn't have. That's like going to Whitey Bulger. Hey, Whitey, did you have anybody killed in Boston? No, sir. Well, there you go. He said he didn't. End of story. Etch it in stone. How stupid do they think we are? The FBI, Christopher Wray, the alleged shooting of Trump. That could have been a piece of glass. He's given testimony before Congress. One was already established by the medical community at the hospital. Now you get shot by a bullet. The algorithms on Google, when you do I think it was their Google AI, whatever they call it. So you try and type in, something about the Trump shooting, and it would come up with, the shooting of Ronald Reagan, the shooting of this person, that person, and it wouldn't give you the info. The algorithms were set so you wouldn't see it. They could downplay it. They could negate it. They could say it's a conspiracy theory. It was just a little piece of something that hit his ear. Or he fell down, some newspapers report, and he got scared. Would they have done that with Barack Obama? No, they would not have. And we all know it. Who are we going to believe? That's my question. Who are we going to believe? Are we going to believe the gaslighting liars in the military-industrial complex? Are we going to believe the gaslighting liars from the White House and from these three-letter organizations that are always covering their backsides? Or are we going to believe the average citizen who's on the ground suffering and getting on their phone saying, this is what's happening? Are we going to believe the EMT guys that were trying to find people that were on dialysis to rescue them? These were medical personnel. I'm watching one video. That's what he did. He went to try and find anybody that was on dialysis to save their lives, and they were going in there. And he tells a story, they were stopping us. And he was some furious mad. You can watch hours of these things. Am I going to believe these citizens on the ground? Or the people that said, oh, the Biden laptop was Russian disinformation? Am I going to believe the people that said, that includes NBC, ABC, CBS, NPR, AP, all of them, CNN? Am I going to believe them when they're the ones who said Trump was a Russian asset? And it was their boys and girls from the Democrat Party under Hillary Clinton that was paying for that Russian dossier that was fake. Who are we going to believe? I would suggest you do this. Go watch. Trump had the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania this past Saturday. Just go to YouTube and type in Elon Musk speech at Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. It's only like a 6-minute speech. Watch what he says. He says, if Trump doesn't win this election, we'll never have another election again. That was his opinion. Not that we wouldn't have elections, not a real one. There'll be like third world elections, you know. The dictators always keep getting elected in. It's Elon Musk, lifelong Democrat. Got Roseanne Barr recognizing that. You think she was some conservative? And Elon Musk tells the story of what they were doing with his trying to attempt to help people with Starlink. Is he lying? Or is Mayorkas lying? Mayorkas said, oh, by the way, the elder told me at Clavel, one of the elders, I'm out of time. One of the elders said to me, I was watching NBC News this morning, Sunday morning, and he says, NBC National News, and they're saying about, Trump is giving disinformation about FEMA put out $1.1 billion to resettle illegals, and now that's why they have very limited funds available now to help American citizens who are suffering. And they said that's a lie. That they fact-checked them, and that was false. And in the same segment, they just go to the reporter and say, so what do you see when you're on the ground? And the guy in the same segment acknowledged that FEMA had given $1.1 billion for that purpose to the cities that were resettling these people. I mean, right to your face, in the same, almost the same breath. They don't graduate from Ivy League colleges not realizing what they're doing, not realizing that they're lying, that they know we don't know they're lying. They do know it. They're acclimating us to it. And the whole shutdown of First Amendment and deplatforming people, which started with COVID in serious form, is meant to bully you to say, you shut up and believe what we tell you. But the scripture says, let no man deceive you with vain words, for because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience. Well, if we're not to allow ourselves to be deceived by liars, what are we supposed to do? Verse 11 tells us, have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them, expose them, rebuke them. Go see the stories on X or some other platform where they'll give freedom of speech, and watch the local people and listen to what they do. Watch the magnitude of what's there, and you tell me who you're believing. Look, I got to go. My time's up. It's past due. Thursday, we'll be back to eschatology. This is Jim Gallagher, reminding you in the words of our blessed Lord and Savior, you shall know the truth. The truth shall make you free.